My girlfriend said, "If you were loyal, you'd cut her off tonight." I said, "That isn't loyalty." She stormed out expecting flowers, apologies, and a grand speech. I changed the entry code before midnight. 10 days later, she was crying in my lobby about devotion. 6 weeks after that, her sister was handing me screenshots. Original post: I'm Nalan, 34M. My ex is Kelsey, 31F. We were together for a little over 2.5 years, and for the last 9 months she'd been living in my condo in Columbus. The mortgage, HOA, parking pass, internet, and utility bills were all in my name. At the beginning, Kelsey didn't talk about loyalty like it was a weapon. Back then, it sounded almost sweet. She'd say she just wanted to know her person was really her person. I understood that. But over time, her idea of loyalty got stranger. Loyalty meant answering her calls on the first ring, even in meetings. Loyalty meant if a woman from work texted me after 6, I needed to report it. Loyalty meant she could go through my followers, my old photos, my college contacts, and ask who every woman was. Loyalty meant deleting people I'd known for years just because she felt uneasy. The thing is, I'm actually a loyal person. I don't cheat. I don't flirt. I'm a logistics manager for a medical supplier, and my whole job is built around being dependable. Kelsey kept acting like calm must mean secretive. For the last few months of our relationship, one name kept coming up: Dana. Dana is 36, married, and the senior analyst on my team. Her wife, Brooke, came to our company picnic last summer. They have 2 golden retrievers and a shared spreadsheet for groceries. That is how thrilling Dana's personal life is. But because she called me during a rough software rollout and once texted at 8:12 p.m. asking for final inventory numbers, Kelsey decided Dana was the problem. I told her over and over there was nothing there. I even put Dana on speaker once so Kelsey could hear we were literally talking about warehouse delays in Cincinnati. It didn't help, because the issue was never Dana. The issue was that Kelsey liked having a name she could point to whenever she wanted proof of betrayal. The night it blew up, we were at a rooftop burger place downtown. It was supposed to be a reset dinner. Her idea. Halfway through the meal, my phone buzzed face up on the table. Dana's name came across the screen with one message: "Need your approval on the revised shipment sheet before 9. Sorry. Kelsey stared at the phone, then at me. I didn't even pick it up. I just said, "It's work. I'll answer after dinner." Instead, she leaned back and said very slowly, "If you were loyal, you'd cut her off tonight." I said, "Dana is my coworker." She shrugged. "Then tell her not to contact you again. Or better yet, block her in front of me." A couple at the next table went quiet. I looked at Kelsey for maybe 5 seconds. No anger, no panic, just clarity. I said, "That isn't loyalty." Her mouth tightened. "So you're choosing her?" "No, I'm choosing reality." Then she gave me the line she clearly expected would control the rest of the night: "Maybe I should leave and see if you care enough to stop me." I put cash under the tray and said, "You can do what you want." She blinked like that was the wrong cue. Then she stood up, grabbed her purse, and said, "Don't come home acting like nothing happened." I said I won't, and she left. I finished my food, replied to Dana with approved. "Thanks." Then I drove home with that strange feeling you get when you realize the relationship ended 20 minutes ago, even if the other person doesn't know it yet. Kelsey's car wasn't at the condo. Good. That gave me time. I didn't throw her stuff out. I packed carefully. Dresses in garment bags, makeup in bins, shoes in tote bags. The framed photos of us went into a separate box because I knew she'd accuse me of breaking them. By 11:40 p.m., everything she owned that wasn't furniture was in the guest room, labeled and stacked. The couch and bed were mine. So was the dining table, TV, and kitchen set. I had receipts for all of it because I keep receipts for everything. Then I changed the front entry code, then the garage keypad, then the streaming passwords. Then I called the building concierge and removed her from the guest access list. At 11:57 p.m., the text started. Are you seriously doing the silent thing, Nolan? Pick up, I'm not playing with you. You better not be disrespecting me in my own home at 12:19. Another text. I'm outside. I checked the camera. There she was in the parking lot, arms crossed, waiting for a dramatic reunion scene. I used the app speaker and said, "Your belongings are packed in the guest room. Come Saturday at noon with someone to help you collect them." She stepped back and looked into the camera. "Nalan, are you insane? No. Open the door, no. You're ending a relationship over loyalty." I said, "I'm ending it over control." Then I muted the speaker. She buzzed the call box 6 times, stood there another 15 minutes, then peeled out of the lot. The next morning I had 31 missed calls, a voicemail full of crying, and one final text that said, "I never thought you'd actually choose work over me." I replied once, "This isn't about work. Pickup is Saturday at noon." Then I went into the office and felt calmer than I had in months. The weirdest part was how relieved I felt. No eggshells, no surprise interrogations because a woman laughed at something I said in a meeting. Just quiet. I hadn't realized how tense I'd been until the tension finally left. Update 1 Saturday showed me exactly how much of Kelsey's behavior had always been about performance. She didn't come alone. She came with her friend Marissa and her younger sister Taryn. Taryn looked embarrassed before she got out of the SUV. Marissa looked excited, which told me she had come for a show. I opened the garage, not the front door. All of Kelsey's things were stacked neatly along the back wall, labeled bins, garment bags, shoes in pairs, cosmetics boxed. Phone charger taped to the top of a tote because I knew she'd claim I stole it if I didn't make it obvious. Kelsey looked offended by the organization. She said, "So that's all I am to you now?" "Plastic bins." I said, "That's your property, packed carefully." Marissa muttered, "Wow, cold." Taryn didn't say anything. She just started checking the labels. Kelsey tried crying first. Then she tried a soft voice, saying she'd only wanted reassurance and I'd blown up our relationship because I couldn't handle one boundary. I told her asking me to block a married coworker in front of her at dinner was not a boundary. It was a demand. Then she switched again. "If you were really loyal, you would have fought for us instead of humiliating me." I said, "Loyalty isn't proving obedience on command." That landed harder than I expected. Taryn glanced at her immediately. While they loaded the SUV, Kelsey kept tossing lines over her shoulder. "I guess now I know how disposable I was. I guess women at work matter more to you than your relationship. I guess calm guys are the cruelest." I ignored all of it. Then she saw the envelope on top of one bin. It had the printed breakdown of the expenses we had actually shared. At the bottom, it showed that after everything was counted, I technically owed her $18.64. I handed her $20 in cash. Marissa laughed. Taryn tried not to. Kelsey looked like I'd slapped her. "You made a spreadsheet." I said, "Yes." By evening, she'd posted a quote on Instagram that said, "Loyalty looks different to people with secrets." 2 mutual friends texted asking whether I'd been too close to someone from work. I sent both the screenshot of Kelsey demanding I cut Dana off. That ended those conversations. Then my mother called. Kelsey had already gotten to her first and cried about me abandoning her for another woman. "Mom asked me one question, did you cheat?" "No." "Did you lie?" "No." "Then what happened?" I read her the text and repeated the dinner conversation. Mom went quiet, then said, "That's not loyalty. That's a loyalty test. Those are for dogs and cults." Then she said, "Do not let her back in that condo. Wasn't planning to." By Monday, Kelsey had moved from sad to invasive. She tried using her old garage remote. Didn't work. She tried following another resident through the side entrance. Concierge stopped her and called me. She claimed she only needed one sweater she forgot. I told them not to let her upstairs. That night, Marissa texted me from an unknown number saying Kelsey hadn't eaten in 2 days and I should at least give her closure. I replied once, "She has closure. It happened at dinner. Don't contact me again." At work, life got better almost immediately. I started leaving the office without checking my phone every 6 minutes. I rejoined a Tuesday night basketball league I'd stopped going to because Kelsey thought it was suspicious that women also played there. I signed up for a certification course the company would reimburse. Sleep came back. So did appetite. Update 2: about 2.5 weeks later, things got weird enough that I started saving everything in one folder labeled Kelsey. First, she contacted Dana, not me. Dana. She sent Dana a long Instagram DM accusing her of interfering in a committed relationship and saying real women respect loyalty. Dana took one screenshot, emailed HR, and forwarded it to me with one sentence: "I assume this is your situation spilling over." I walked straight into HR with the screenshot, the original dinner text, and my building incident notes. They were calm about it, but very clear. If Kelsey contacted anyone else connected to work, they wanted a record immediately. That same day, Dana's wife Brooke apparently messaged Kelsey back from Dana's account with, "Ma'am, we own matching rain boots and a joint Costco membership. Please find a hobby." I laughed for a full minute when Dana told me. 2 days later, she showed up in my office lobby with a gift bag and a letter. Reception called up and said a woman was insisting she was my girlfriend and needed 5 minutes to fix a misunderstanding. I said, "Ex-girlfriend. Please ask security to remove her." She left the gift bag anyway. Inside was a framed photo of us from a lake trip and a note that said, "Loyalty means not giving up when things get hard." I photographed both and added them to the folder. Then came the fake emergency. An unknown number called at 6:43 a.m. claiming Kelsey had been in a minor wreck and only wanted me. The voice sounded rehearsed. I asked which hospital. The caller paused, then hung up. 7 minutes later, Kelsey texted from another new number, "Can't believe you didn't care enough to come." That was the moment I contacted an attorney. Consultation was $300. The cease and desist letter cost $450. While that was being prepared, Kelsey leveled up again. She Venmo requested me $1,860 labeled emotional damages and relocation costs. I declined it instantly. Then she posted vague stories about men who weaponize silence. A guy I'd met once at a New Year's party messaged me on LinkedIn to say Kelsey was devastated and just wanted proof I'd ever loved her. I replied, "Loyalty does not mean surrendering to manipulation. Please don't contact me again." The worst part happened the weekend after that. I'd been seeing someone casually. Her name's Mallory. We met through basketball. She's 32, a pediatric nurse, and the kind of person who says exactly what she means. We were at a wine bar in German Village when Kelsey walked in wearing the emerald dress I bought her last Christmas. Of course she did. Props, timing, audience. She saw us, marched over, and said, "So this is what loyalty means to you now?" I stood up. I said, "Kelsey, leave." She looked at Mallory and said, "He told you I'm crazy, didn't he? That's what disloyal men do." Mallory stayed calm. She said, "I don't know you, but this isn't the place." Instead, Kelsey grabbed my wine and tipped it toward Mallory. Not a full throw, just enough to splash the front of her blouse and the table. Everyone around us went silent. Manager came over. Then security. Then police. Mallory was furious but composed. I gave my statement. So did the bartender. The manager offered camera footage immediately. Kelsey got hit with a criminal trespass warning for the bar and was told not to contact either of us. My attorney filed for a protective order the following Monday. Final update: the cease and desist was delivered first. Kelsey responded exactly how everyone expected, by pretending it proved I was abusive. She told people I was trying to silence her. She told one mutual friend I had emotionally isolated her and replaced her with a nurse in under a month. She told another that Dana had been my backup all along. The stories kept changing because none of them were true enough to stand still. Then Taryn called me. She said, "I need to tell you something before court." Apparently Kelsey had been showing her drafts of posts and messages for weeks, trying to decide which version of the story sounded most sympathetic. Taryn finally saw the original screenshots from dinner on Kelsey's phone and realized Kelsey had left out the entire loyalty demand every single time she retold it. She also saw something better. Kelsey had sent Marissa messages like, "He'll chase me. He always does." And later, "He's bluffing. Give it 3 days. Then, after I didn't cave, if he can move on this fast, I need to make him look guilty." Taryn sent me screenshots of all of it. She also told me Kelsey had used a texting app for the fake hospital call because she thought hearing "accident" would get me to come running. At the hearing, Kelsey came dressed like a church volunteer and cried on cue. Her attorney tried the closure angle first. My attorney walked the judge through the timeline: loyalty demand at dinner, repeated unwanted contact, building access attempts, workplace visit, harassment of my coworker, fake emergency call, public confrontation with Mallory, wine incident, and the messages to Marissa proving intent. Then he handed over Taryn's screenshots. The judge read one out loud: "He'll chase me. He always does." Then another: "If he can move on this fast, I need to make him look guilty." Kelsey stopped crying after that. Her attorney tried to say she was hurt and emotional. The judge said hurt does not authorize harassment. Then he asked her directly whether she had demanded, "I cut off a married coworker to prove loyalty." She said she had asked for reassurance. The judge said, "No, ma'am, you asked for obedience. Protective order granted. 1 year. No contact. No third-party contact. Stay 500 feet away from my home and workplace." The judge also warned her that using fake numbers or other people to reach me would count as a violation. Outside the courtroom, Taryn apologized to me. She said she'd spent years translating Kelsey's behavior into prettier language because that's what their family did. I told her I appreciated the screenshots and left it there. That was just over 3 months ago. Since then, total quiet. Kelsey apparently lost 2 close friendships because even Marissa got tired of the revolving storylines. Dana still jokes about the Costco message. HR closed the issue after no more contact came in. I passed my certification exam and got promoted to regional operations lead with an $8,500 raise. Mom celebrated by mailing me a card that said "Loyalty is not submission" in giant block letters. Mallory and I are officially together now. And here's what still gets me. The first disagreement Mallory and I had was over something stupid. I was late to a movie because I got stuck on a supplier call. She told me that bothered her. I apologized. She accepted it. We got popcorn. Nobody stormed out. Nobody made me prove devotion. That's when I understood how poisoned my idea of loyalty had gotten. Kelsey used loyalty to mean control, access, compliance, fear. It meant I was supposed to erase whoever made her feel insecure, hand over my judgment, and call it love. But loyalty without trust is just surveillance with better branding. Real loyalty is quieter than that. It looks like honesty when honesty is inconvenient. It looks like respect when emotions are high. It does not look like demanding blind obedience in a burger restaurant and then building a harassment campaign when you don't get it. The second Kelsey realized I wouldn't kneel to the performance, the whole relationship cracked open and showed me what it really was. Not devotion, not love, just a system where I stayed calm while she kept moving the rules and calling it loyalty. I'm done with that version forever. If you faced something similar or you think I went too far, tell me in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe, like, and share so you don't miss the next one.